left tackle. He too is in his first year of eligibility.
Okay.
When you retire, you may get a chance to go to football heaven. This is football heaven.
Hey guys, welcome to the Mission Podcast. I'm your host, Jameer Howardson, and that was a look at today's guest, 9-time Pro Bowler, 4-time first-team All-Pro, 2005 NFC champion, and from the class of 2014, Mr. Walter Jones is joining us right here on the Mission Podcast. Welcome, Mr. Pro Football Hall of Famer. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on, man. It's a great feeling every time you get a chance to talk to people back at home. So it's pretty awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Man, I can't wait to have this conversation today. But before we dive into it, it's week 14 of the NFL season, and just taking a look back at week 13 as we look ahead to week 14, and knowing that you host the fifth quarter for the Seattle Seahawks. Let's just dive in and talk about week 13. What jumped out to you from your Seahawks?
I thought the last game that they came together as a team. You know, they had lost 2 games, and there was a division game that they had to win. And I thought it was a complete team game. I thought Geno put the ball where he needed to put it. I thought the defense, the issue with the defense was that, they couldn't stop the run. I thought they did a great job there in the second half, and they got a big win, and now they're still in that playoff hunt. So let's just see, this is everybody now is jockeying for position now, and these games are going to be very important. I think the NFL does a great job of making sure that these games are very important in the last 2 months of the season. So it should be a fun ride to see where this team end up when the season is over with.
This is year 10 for Geno Smith. And, I got a chance to talk to your quarterback, Mr. Warren Moon, last week. And, we talked about Geno. This is year 10 for him and coming right in on the heels of Russell Wilson. How impressed have you been with Geno?
I'm very impressed with Geno. I think the thing about, like you said, he's been in this game for 10 years, and that's what you want a backup quarterback to be. They come in and don't cause no problem. Then you get that starting job, and and now you understand how Pete wants you to run the offense. And I think Geno runs it just the way he wanted. Protect the football, put the ball where it needs to be, and make the game, keep the game close so we can win in the end. I think Pete have always been about that. And a lot of times, a lot of fans don't like that, but that's the way Pete want to play, where you're in the game, and that show what kind of character you got too when you're in the games and you come out and find ways to win those games in the fourth quarter.
Week 14, you guys are facing the Carolina Panthers. Talk about this matchup. What do you like about this?
For me personally, I think the thing about it is this: you have to be careful. These are kind of like those teams where the games you should win, and you don't want to get into a trap game. But still, again, these guys get a chance to come home. They haven't been at home in 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks, almost a month. So I think the crowd's going to be behind. Then you come in there with a win. So I should be a great game. Still, again, you don't take anyone lightly, and all these guys are paid to play football. Very, very physical game. So you got to go out there and take these guys serious and see what happens. These guys going to play yourself, but the way the Seahawks do, you got to find ways to win there in the end.
Well, I think you guys pay the 12th man too, because when I think of environments and being blessed to work for 2 teams and going to Seattle and being in that environment, that 12th man is no joke.
Definitely is, and I think people understand. I think I heard Peyton Manning say at one time that fans are the real fans are the ones that understand what's going on, know when to cheer, and I think the 12 does a great job of knowing when to cheer. They understand when we're on offense to be quiet, but defense and winning brings that. If you're winning, you're going to bring the fans out. They're going to be there. And these fans have been loyal for a long time. So, anytime you're on the verge of doing something great, you want to be a part of it. And I think that the 12 do a great job of being part of helping this team. They understand that, and it's so cool. Like when they get a jump offside, they put it up on the screen board and kind of like, it's almost like we're all playing this together. So I totally get why they call it the 12th man.
All right, Walt, well, let's go inside the numbers brought to you by the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Visit ProFootballHof.com and book your trip and come to Canton and see the greats, such as Mr. Walter Jones in the bus gallery room right next door to me. All right, I want to go inside these numbers. 1997, first round pick, 6th overall. What did these numbers mean to you when you go back to draft day 1997? Let's go back.
It just shows you the hard work that you put in. I think the thing about it, me personally, it wasn't about me getting drafted that high. It was all about me having an opportunity to play in the NFL. That's what I did it for. That's why I played this game, to change my life and change my family life. And to get drafted that high, I understood the responsibility of what that comes with. But still, and again, for me, that day was a life-changing event for me, for my family. You know, I got hold of a check that I've never in my life would imagine that I would hold that type of check in my hands, and being able to change my family life and for the better. So for me personally, that was what is that day. That what it brings to me. That 20 years later, that you can still think about that day like it would just happen yesterday. So for me, that day just means that changed my life. I did everything the right way, and it changed my life for me and my family. So that was always be something special in my heart, that day and those accolades that you put there.
What was it like walking into that locker room day one? Because we all know when you're drafted in the first round, 6th overall, and knowing that Seattle traded up to get you, there's a sense of urgency, and you speak about accountability. But what was it like for a young rookie walking into that environment? Who met you? Who pulled you to the side? Who mentored you? And who basically pretty much got you mentally ready for that battle that you were about to face?
I think for me personally, it was all about just, like you say, when you get drafted that high, that tells you that the team is really not that good. So for me personally, I just wanted to come in and do whatever I had to do because I was on that cusp of the end of that era where, you got rookie hazed and all that stuff. So it was basically everything you do on the field. You earn your respect from the veteran guys about, can you play? Can you can you go into that foxhole with me? So I would have to say people like Howard Bowler, offensive lineman, helped me out a lot. I'm more of a visual guy. I'm not a big talker. I'm not a big person that come up to you and ask, but if you're doing it the right way, I'm gonna watch you and stuff. So I tell people all the time that I have some great people to watch, especially playing this game, but still, and again, being able to come in there and be the foundation for the Seattle Seahawks. And for me personally, to be able to play my entire career in Seattle, that's kind of pretty hard, for some of the top tier guys. So for me to be able to say that today, and that the Seahawks made the right choice by picking me, and I tell people all the time, I respect the Seattle Seahawks. I respect the NFL because those two organizations changed my life for the good. So I would never speak ill of those two organizations, but still, and again, I understood that I was coming in to be the starter from day one, and I wanted to prove my worth. So I think for me personally, that's what it was all about.
Well, thank you for taking us inside the numbers, because when you look at those numbers, you know that there's a deeper meaning behind them. But I also want to touch on accountability. You spoke in your Hall of Fame speech about accountability. Where did that consciousness come from?
I think it just comes from your high school coach. When you get into this game, it's not a me game; it's a team game. So for me personally, but everybody have to do their part, and that's anything you do in life too. If you work a job, you know what your job is, and you have to be accountable for that. So for me, that's what I learned. That's what I tell a lot of young kids. It's all about the accountability. I tell my kids, if I tell you that, hey, if I'm walking out the door and I say you need to take the trash out, I'm hoping that you're going to do that. That's your job. So that's being accountable for the things that you can control. So for me personally, that's something that I always try to live by. Control the things that you can control, and you be accountable for the things that, if you do it, you got to be held up for it, but still be accountable, get your job done, and be there for your team.
One number that I want to touch on, 2014. That's when you were inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And there's a special meaning behind that. I would love for you to share that. And one of the things that I came across some pictures was that you had your son present you during your induction Hall of Fame speech. Talk about that, Walter.
That's pretty amazing. I love my son to death. For me personally, I have a twin. He have a twin sister. And when I was thinking about who I wanted to represent me, it was a no-brainer. I wanted him to be a part of it. I think as a dad, you want to bring your son along because that's going to be a character for him too. So for me personally, that was easy for me to do, and I think if they had his age, I think it kind of really helped him into his younger his adult life and stuff like that. So for me personally, that's a memory that I always want to have, where my son he represented me in that special moment, and he really enjoyed it. To this day. He still reminisce about that stuff, be a part of that. A lot of the kids, like Derrick Brooks' son, he did his, so they have became friends too throughout that process. My kids call everybody in the classroom, in my class, uncles. So they, they've met him once, but he's still, again, he'll say Uncle Andre Reed, Uncle, all these people that, he met and got a chance to be part of. And now he called them uncle. So for him to be a part of that, that's pretty amazing for me, and especially for him too.
That is amazing. I get goosebumps. And, it must be something in the water about left tackles, because Orlando Pace had his son, as well as Anthony Munoz had his son, induct them into the Hall of Fame. So it must be something about you offensive linemen. You guys, telepathy. You got that going on.
I got to, yeah.
But you are truly a man of the community. Every time you come back to Canton, yes, you visit the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but you are with my colleague, Mr. Hayden Dennis, and you guys are out and about. Talk about that, because I don't want to. I know the title that you have given yourself, but for our viewers and listeners that don't know, what do you coin yourself to be here in Canton, Ohio?
I call myself the local Hall of Famer. A lot of times when you come there for the weekend, there's a lot of stuff going on, and they have you places that you need to go, and sometimes you can get in those places and it can get overwhelming. You still have to do your part, because that's part of the whole weekend, where you have to go where the people are at, or where the Hall of Fame said we need you to show up. But still, again, you have drivers. I've met some great guys there. I call them my friends now. And I used to always say, hey, take me to the local spots. Let's see where the real people are at. Not saying the fans are not, but I want, a lot of times you hear guys holler about, it's glad to be home. Home is in Canton. So I'm like, okay, let me get to know Canton. What's Canton about? So I think for me personally, a lot of those people that hear about the Hall of Fame, but they never get a chance to really be with a Hall of Famer. So for me personally, I thought it's a cool thing. So you can get away from the crowd and go off the beaten path and go hang out with some true local people of the Canton area. So for me personally, it was fun. You get a chance to meet people. I know the high school there, I think with Jackson. The Jackson. So I really, part of their group and stuff. So for me, I think it's pretty awesome. When I come there, I'm looking forward to going out and meet these people and being around these people, because I see these people as friends. So for me, I always say, when you go to a place, make friends there. So when you do go again, you don't have to worry about, do I need somewhere to stay? I can go hang out. So for me personally, it's an awesome feeling to be able to say that I know some local spots there where I could come to Canton to hang out, just to hang out. So that's a pretty cool feeling to have.
But we can also see Walter Jones throwing out the first pitch at the Mariners game. Mm-hmm. We can see you on the sideline at an MLS game taking pictures. Talk about that. When did you start shooting?
I just got into it. One of my PR guys would ask me I said, I used it when I had my kids. I bought the expensive camera when we went on vacation. So I never really got into it, but I enjoy gadgets. So, me, I was buying cameras that know all the stuff that cameras can do. And so he just said, let me take you up on my arms and show you how this works. And I tried to do an NFL game, but it's too hard because people want to holler and scream. So for me to go to a soccer game, I could easily go in. No matter where I go, I won't fit in with camera guys anyway. So no, I'm still gonna stand out. But still, again, to get a chance to take pictures and be a part of something special. You want to be able to say, I got that shot. And it's not a lucrative gig, but I think if you love that and you want to try to get that shot, you enjoy that part of it. And for me personally, I enjoy the editing part of the picture taking, because you take so many pictures. So to be able to sit down and go through the process of finding the right shot and making sure you got all the angles right, that's pretty fun for me. I really enjoy that.
That's cool. I got to ask you, did you have to practice before throwing out the first pitch? I know you didn't want to get out there.
The first time I did it, but I did one right when they was getting ready. I think they was getting ready to make the playoffs, and they asked me to come in and do one, and I was like, my arm is, it is what it is. I'm like, if I got one in me, it's gonna be one, not five, and then go out there and do it. So for me personally, a lot of people say don't bounce it, but I always say I'm not gonna get on ESPN unless I do something crazy. So I always have that in the back of my mind. Should I just throw it to first base and then get on ESPN? Because they never show the perfect pitch. There's always the bad pitch. So, right. But I haven't got to the point yet where I want to do something crazy so I can get on ESPN.
I want to dive in and talk about your community work. Starting off with September 6th. I know that's a date that's near and dear to you. 96 check. For all of our fans and viewers that may not know, can you break that date down to us?
Oh yeah, 96 check come from one of my best friends and playmates was Cortez Kennedy. Great friend, a guy that took me under his wings, a Hall of Famer himself. And, you know, he took me on his wing and kind of showed me the other side of being a professional. You know, you can play the game, you can be in the locker room, but you get a chance to meet the people upstairs. A lot of people don't go upstairs. You know, you have different levels. You have the players, coaches, and the staff. And most of the time we don't, as players, nothing brings you up to the third floor. And so Cortez was pretty good. He knew everybody in the organization. So for me, I wanted to do that. And then the thing about Tez is Tez would always check up on you. It can be 2 o'clock in the morning. He calling you, asking you how you doing, how your family doing. So when his passing was a shock. And when I went to the funeral, everybody that was there, the only thing everybody kept saying was, Tez would check on me at any time of the night. So I felt like, wow, it wasn't just me. He was doing that with everybody. So for me, that was something to give back to him about the 96 check. And 96 check is his playing number was 96 check, 96. And so I went 96, September the 6th. So now just to remind people to check in on your loved one. At first I was all about the players, but then I thought about this is bigger than just us and football players. This is everybody because we get so busy in our life. People are asked to do stuff like, oh, I'm busy, my schedule. So it's just one of those things where you check in. It's not about checking on that person that I played with. It's that person that was the third guy that was part of the process. And you check on those guys, you know, and I always tell these guys, if I can't help you, I know I can find somebody else to help you. And a lot of that, it's not about they telling me what's going on. Sometimes we always say, hey, man, how you doing? And that's all it takes. It's just like you walk up and somebody give you a hug. A hug can make a lot of difference, and somebody just asking you how you doing can make a difference too. So that's something that I try to instill in everybody, just to check in on the people that you don't talk to all the time, that just a random call or a text message. You know, the new age is text messaging. So just do it and check in on your loved ones.
Absolutely, absolutely. I noticed that, and to follow up with that, I noticed that you do a lot of speaking engagements with the Seattle Seahawks. And when you have those opportunities, especially with the rookie education, what is some of the wisdom that you impart to these young guys that's coming into the game?
I just tell them to be a student of the game. You know, I think that's the number one thing you have to learn, how to be a student. It's not just playing football. You have other stuff that's going on in your life. You know, you have your personal life. You have business going on. Still, again, you got to find that equal. But still, again, I think being a student of the game, learning how to watch film. A lot of times we don't know that when we get in the league, how to watch film. So for me personally, that's the number one thing I tell the young people. Just be a student. Know everything. Don't think just because you know your position, know everybody's position, because you never know, things might flip. So, but for me, I just, enjoy it, have fun too. Even though it's a job, you're doing something that, like they said, if you love it, it's never a job. So for me, I just, and I lend out my knowledge too. I'm not going to run up behind you, but if any of these young guys want to come to me and ask me questions, I'm willing to help out because, you're a part of the brotherhood of offensive linemen. So if you play bad, I look bad. So I'm always there to help those guys and make sure that, they're on the right track and they have the right focus when they go into games.
Well, November 21st was a huge day for you. The Walter Jones Trophy Award. Tell us about that. That's hot.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing, man. They called me last year and asked me that this was the inaugural year of it. And when they were trying to find out who they wanted to do with it, they called me and said, well, you was our first choice. And I was like, I'm not going to turn that down, because that's where my career actually started in JUCO. And it was an amazing event. They did a great job, especially with it being the first year. They did a great job. And for me to have a trophy, my legacy about who I am, my mom was there. She enjoyed it, it was just a great feeling where it was like a full circle thing where when I first got into football, when I first went to college, I was in JUCO and my family was struggling trying to get me back and forth and I was getting homesick. So for me and my family, that was a great way to end everything is to come full circle. And now I have a trophy and it's similar to the MVP, the Heisman Trophy, like in the college. So for me personally, it's surreal, but it's something that now, like you say, once you're done playing this game, and now when people read off my accolades, I used to get kind of nervous. but now I'm more appreciative of it. So I do understand now how people say when they're done playing, then they look back and say, okay, I did it the right way. And like I say, I think I saw someone said something on one of these podcasts where they were saying, like, a lot of time when we go places, we say thank you, but a lot of time we don't realize that we're supposed to be here because we did everything the right way. And so for me personally, anytime you guys want me or anybody want me to do something, I feel like I deserve to be here because I did everything the right way. So that's how I look at everything. And so I say, for me to get that trophy, that means I did it the right way.
That's amazing. Running back Robert Henry from Jones College. Mm-hmm. Talk about this young man and what was that conversation like when he received the Walter Jones Trophy Award?
It was pretty amazing. The cool thing about they do before the award come out, they get a chance for me to kind of like sit down with each kid and kind of like, because I didn't know anything until I opened up the envelope because they wanted to make it a surprise. And just talking to these kids, like I always, I tell them, I say, hey, once you're in this elite class, you're like a son to me, so I'm gonna keep up with you and see what you're doing from this point on. But a great kid, got a great head on his shoulder, want to do great things and, want to continually playing football. So, and I always try to tell these young kids, don't look at going to JUCO as a failure. Sometimes that's the route you have to take. I took the route of JUCO, and I tell people all the time that JUCO was like seasoning. Like I started playing football late, so to go JUCO, just another 2 years for me to learn how to play football. So I just tell those kids, use it for what it's for, and then you get better, and then next time, your next opportunity, you'll be ready for it. So a great kid, well deserved of the award. His stats speak for that. So I'm very proud of the kid that won.
So just to take a couple of steps back here. So when you went to JUCO and then you went right to Florida State, what was that transition like for you?
It was tough because I was trying to get there in the spring, so I was taking JUCO classes and correspondence classes. So I was trying to get out of JUCO as soon as I could. But for me personally, going to Florida State, that was my number one pick. When I went there in high school for a football camp, I said, this is where I want to be at, this is where I want to be. And for me personally, it was just a matter of just getting there and hoping that you can play at that level, because every level you get to, you want to know, can you play at that level? Everybody can play in high school, college, and then you get to the pros, and then all of a sudden, what happened? You can't play no more, but it's a different perspective every level. So for me to go to Florida State and was able to do the things I was able to do, that just showed that, I can play this game and I can play it at a very high level. So for me, I just wanted to make sure I can play there. And I got there, and, this is the thing that people don't understand. I redshirted my first year at Florida State. The second year, I didn't start. I was rotated with 3 other tackles. And so that just tells you the work that you have to put in, because I still got drafted high and it wasn't even considered a starter. I rotated with 2 left tackles, the right tackle and the left tackle throughout the whole season. We was the number 1 team in the league. So,
wow. Are you a fan of Last Chance U?
I love it. I think it gives a perspective of, how kids are on their last win. I'm saying? Like, this is it. If you don't make it out now, you're not going to make it. So for me, I like that perspective, because I think as for fans, you get a chance to see that, how much kids put into this, and sometimes they can be knuckleheads and get in trouble, but still, again, they all are chasing a dream, and so many kids don't even get a chance to make it. So I think I love to show that people see that there are so many kids that's chase this dream.
Walter, I was Googling and I was looking up, researching the best left tackles of all time, and I stumbled across this list: Jonathan Ogden, Anthony Munoz, Walter Jones, Jim Parker, Orlando Pace, all Hall of Famers, by the way, and Joe Thomas. And I was like, wow. So I really would like to get your take on these guys and their contribution to the left tackle position.
What I tell people all the time, I say I came in at a perfect time in my career, because when I came in 97, that was probably fourth tackles that was top tier. You had Jonathan Ogden, you had Willie Rowe, you had Orlando Pace. Who else I was looking at the time? Those guys are the guys I watched every day. Like when we watch film, my coach said, watch these guys. So me, it was like that competitiveness with people that you really didn't know personally, but they played those same positions. So if they go against this defensive guy, I'm saying, okay, let me see what they did. Oh, he didn't give up a sack. And so now I got to go out there and do the same thing, because that's the standard that's already been set. And my number one tackle to this day. I still get nervous when I get around Anthony Munoz. I still get nervous, bro. Like, and when I was in high school, my coach Anthony Munoz had a instructional video, and I'm like, I can't believe the Hall of Fame don't have this video. They get all this archive stuff, and I'm like, man, y'all got to find, because I wanted to use it in my speech, but I Googled it. I did everything to try to. And somebody said, why don't you just ask Anthony Munoz? He probably got one in his garage. So I said, the next time I see him, I'm gonna be like, Ant, man, I just need that tape. I want to put this in my trophy case, because I watched this tape forever through high school, and I till I couldn't even wind it no more. So he's definitely somebody that really helped me in saying this is something I want to do, and it made me understand how to be a great left tackle and how to play the game and how to be great at that position.
Well, one of those guys who actually studied you the way you studied Anthony Munoz was Joe Thomas. I don't know if you noticed, but we've been, just kind of doing some research. But in an interview, he mentioned that he studied all your tapes from college and the pros.
Yeah, that's so crazy, because you have bad plays and stuff, so you always fear for that. But I think those guys understand that stuff. So for me personally, that's a great feeling for me, because that tells me that I did it the right way, and that you can go and watch my film, and a lot of stuff you do, some guys can't get away with it, what I'm saying? So that's just part of being who you are as a person and as a player. But for me personally, that makes you feel good that you did it the right way, and somebody want to play the game the same way.
12 years and only 9 penalties.
Yeah, I just took the referees off my payroll.
I mean, I'm like, we want to go inside some numbers. I mean, 12 years at the blind side position, and you only gave up 23 sacks.
Yeah, most of those
and had 9.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Have you ever, I know you said you get a little nervous, but have you ever had the opportunity to express that to Anthony, your gratitude and appreciation?
Always. It's not about you don't, like I guess like the young people say, you don't want to fanboy over people. I respect those people. I like, when you walk up to someone like that and they know you too. So it's kind of like, you come to the Hall of Fame. It's so weird because a lot of the people that are there, you watch them growing up. So you have this different feel when you see these people. These people have a different aura about themselves. But then when you with those people, you feel like I'm supposed to be here. You don't never feel out of place. You never, like, sometimes you walk into a place, you're like, I don't think I need to be here. I never felt that I shouldn't be here. But still, and again, those people that I see, those are the people that kind of built the vision of what NFL was all about. Those are the people that I want to be like, So for me, I just try to respect, but maybe one day I tell him how, I think he know a little bit, but we never really had that conversation. Oh, dude, you really, helped me get to where I'm at. And, I really appreciate that too, though. So I guess if you see this podcast, he will.
I was about to say, would you mind if we happen to
no
send
problem.
this podcast to Anthony?
Go ahead, man. Just just let him know, or if you see it, say, hey man, I appreciate everything you've done. You still one of the great ones that I give all my credit to. Watching you and whatever you was doing, I wanted to emulate it and wanted to be just as good as you. So just say, hey, thank you to Anthony Munoz.
Jonathan, Orlando Pace, what's it like when you guys get together? Because you're fairly around the same age and stuff like that. What are those conversations like? You share your old war stories, if you will.
You know what? It's never that. It's always just hanging out. I think the cool thing about it, though, because everybody play in different cities, so it's not like we're friends or something like that. But
right,
when you get together, it's almost like if you ever I just watch. When you watch, like when the guys come in to like the luncheon, the linemen's always, no matter where you came from, we always going to be together. You're never going to see, most guys be here, there, but linemen's always going to try to be in the same vicinity because we're the same person. So for me personally, it's pretty cool to be with those guys just to get their vibe, not from I know how good they was in football. It's just from a different vibe, like how they is when they just hanging out with it. And honestly, we're like almost all of us are just like the same. We have the same mannerisms. We have the same thing, So it's pretty cool just to hang out with those guys to kind of just see what they do on the regular, how to, what's your drink or chores, just filling these guys out on that part right there. The war story. Sometimes we'll talk about somebody that we played against, but most of the time it's never talking about football. It's just being in this moment and having a good time and getting to know people that you have saw for a long time, but just to be in the same building, the same space. So just to see, you realize, man, we all the same. So it's pretty cool.
I have to follow up with this, but, talking to offensive linemen throughout my career, they always used to say it starts with us up front. Mm-hmm. It starts right here in the trenches. And if you could talk about that pride, that mindset that you guys have where it starts up front with us, we're going to set the tempo.
I think that's just the way it is. I think once you realize that you're offensive lineman, that's not your first choice when you go out for football. But I think once you realize how to play the game and what you mean to the game, that's when it becomes fun. So yes, you want to, because if it's good, we don't get no highlight, but if it's bad, we get the highlight. So I think as an offensive lineman, you have to understand that. And I tell people all the time, we all got to be all in sync. The only place, the receiver and the quarterback maybe have to be in sync, but offensive linemen have to be in sync, because I can get my block, but the guy on the backside don't get his block. We all look bad. But I tell people all the time, a defensive guy can go the wrong way and get a sack, and he's be the star of the game, and nobody know he went the wrong way but the coaches. So it's one of those things that you take pride in, and then once you do that, when everybody's on the same page, that's when you see good offensive line play. And I think fans of today, they know good offensive line play. Back in the days, did nobody care about offensive linemen, but now when people watch football, they can say that's not good football play. That's not good offensive line play. And this from just a random person. So for me, I really enjoy the fact that people can watch the game just not for high scoring and defense. They can say, oh, such and such team got this offensive lineman, or this offensive line is pretty good. So that's pretty cool when you're watching games and they always talk about the offensive line.
And to add to that, Walt, I got to give a mad shout out to Pro Football Hall of Famer head coach John Madden, because he taught me a lot about offensive line. Because it was like, you see this guy right here, and he'll circle him, and look at this play right here. Did you ever had that communication with John Madden? Did you ever had a chance to meet Coach before?
I never got a chance to meet him. I tell people all the time, that's where I got my brand from, the best to ever do it. He said that in an interview where Walter Jones is the best to ever do it, and I kind of went with that. But from him, I think he's the kind of like you say, put offensive linemen on the map, where he did that, where, you watch the game. Like you say, you never watched the game for offensive linemen. Then he was good at always recognizing those guys in a game. That was one or two times, like you say, throughout the game where he's going to break that down for guys. Because, you're watching the game, back then it was just the Dallas Cowboys. I remember the left tackle was maybe the right tackle. Maybe Eric Williams. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Eric Williams, Nate Newton, yeah.
Oh my God, what's a beast, bro. Like this guy, I don't know why this guy's not in the Hall of Fame. The way he played the game as an offensive lineman did, I don't know anybody that plays the game his physicality, the way he uses his hands, the way he uses I used to watch this kid all the time. Oh my God, I wish I could play the game the way he played like that with that physicality. But from a standpoint, like you said, with Madden he would do that. And that's that's the stuff that makes you feel good, because those are for the fans, the families that sit at home watching, getting together. And then all of a sudden you're the person that you're watching it, they get a ring or a highlight. So for me, I think he did a great job. And I think we need that more with commentators, where they recognize those guys the way, but you don't want people to say, oh, you're doing it because of John Madden, but still, I think it's great that you highlight those guys every once in a while.
All right, Walt, now it's time to put you on the Hall of Fame hot seat. This is brought to you by the Pro Football Hall of Fame store. Visit profootballhof.com, add in code MISSION, MISSION, and receive 25% off. All right, man, these are one-word answers. Could be 2 or 3 second answers. Let's have some fun with these, Walt. Who was your toughest matchup?
Rayleigh Johnson, defensive end from the San Diego Chargers. He gave me fits every time I played him. I hated to play against him. He beat me for sacks. He just made me work hard, So, and I appreciate it, but he gave me fits.
Besides your toothbrush, what was your must-have item while traveling on the road?
Oh man, must have. I would say my make sure I had some headphones. I had to have. I'm a gadget guy, so I had multiple headphone sets to make sure nothing didn't go dead. So I would say that's a must-have on a trip. I got to have something to play my music on, hear my music throughout the process.
And with that being said, what was the soundtrack? Who was you listening to?
I'm an offensive lineman, so everything got to be chill. So I was more of an R&B guy. I wasn't about hitting all the rah rah rah. I get that part, but I think that's for the defensive guys. Our offensive guys, and so we have to be cool, collect. We got to keep our cool. We can't be out there screaming and hollering. We got to keep our cool. So for me, a little Sade, a little R. Kelly, blah blah blah. Just to keep me.
You had some Sade, you had some Luther.
Yeah, so Luther, a little Anita Baker,
okay.
A lot of, so that's what I grew up on, man. My sisters and stuff put me on the music game, so I'm a big R&B guy and stuff like that, So that's my flavor, Now,
I like that.
If I was part of say if I had the aux card at the locker room, now that's a different chain, because you got to play hype music, but when you got it on your ears, you kind of know how you want to be getting ready for the game.
Best fast food burgers and French fries.
Oh, man,
and it could be different. It doesn't all have to be from the same spot. It could be the best French fries are here or the best burgers from there. Yeah, you can.
I go with oh man, that's tough. I don't know if you ever had the In-N-Out. In-N-Out is a pretty good burger. So I would go In-N-Out.
Burger.
Yeah, but fries, I would say McDonald's fries when you get them hot with no salt.
So you know the trick. I've been telling people, if you want a fresh pair, some fresh fries from McDonald's, you order them with no salt. But do you ask for salt when they bring them to you?
No, I do. So I do sweet and sour with ranch. So I dip those together. So about and because the key is this: the grab it. When you grab it, you grab them about 4 of them. So that's a way to eat them though. So you say fresh fries, and they get you a fresh hot fries. Ain't nothing like McDonald's hot French fries. You get them fresh. Ain't
nothing like it. Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, or Family Feud?
Family Feud all day. I'm a big game guy, so yeah, Family Feud. I literally keep my TV on the game show network. There's a lot of them I love. I like America Says. I watch it all the time, so I would do Family Feuds. I'm looking forward to it too. One thing, I'm taking my family on a cruise in March on this cruise ship. They have a Family Feud studio, so you can request to have contests. So I'm looking forward to this to see, because I've been asked a couple of times. I think with the cruise to bring Hall of Famers, I always said no to that. So I'm looking forward to it, because everybody says it's fun at home, but once you're in that studio, it's pretty tough. The questions get tough. So. But I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I'm a big game guy. I love to watch because it makes my brain work. You're sitting there watching game shows. It just makes your brain work. So I love it.
And lastly, if you could be a superhero, who would you be and why?
Man, I'd be Superman. Because I like everything he can do. You know what I'm saying? He's stronger than anybody. So I would say probably Superman. But, like me, I just got into the superhero stuff. So I'm still trying to figure out who I really like. But, I grew up with Superman. I like Spider-Man a little bit, but that's kind of like he's a little too little, like from the standpoint of he got all his power, but little. So, but I would say Superman. If I had a choice, I would do Superman. Always. Everybody loves Superman.
Well, there it is, man. Walter Jones wants to be Superman. I think every Hall of Famer we talk to, I can't list them all. They all want to be Superman.
Oh, yeah.
They want to fly or they want the X-ray vision.
Yep. But if I had one power like that, I would want to I always said read people's mind, but do I really want to hear what people saying in their mind? Like I can't remember this movie where the guy could hear people. What a man or woman want?
What a woman wants. Mel Gibson.
Yes. I'm like, do I really want that power? But I think sometimes when you're doing stuff, like control that. If you're saying something and you hear people's mind what they're saying, like can you control that? Like I would love to be in somebody's head just for a minute to see what they're thinking. Like, okay, I'm out of there, So. But
I'm scared of that, Walter, because if I hear something I don't like, I may go off. Like, really? That's how you feel about me? So say it. Think
about you speaking your mind, and then all of a sudden you get jumped by somebody. You be like, "Whoa, what'd I say?" You know what you said.
You know what you said. Well, Walt, man, I thank you so much for giving us your time today and joining us right here on The Mission.
All right, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.